Syria's most populous city and commercial hub is now the center of violence. For months, rebels of the Free Syrian Army have been battling government forces in the northern city of Aleppo.
The fight is largely at a stalemate, with rebels kept at bay by government air assaults and snipers.
VOA's Bobb was in Aleppo recently and followed rebel forces for a rare close look at the fighting. Please be advised, some of these images are disturbing.
Morning in the divided Syrian city of Aleppo. Rebels of the Free Syria Army are preparing a mission into the battle zone. They hold a short planning session and then head out through a firefight along their street. Inside the battle-scarred old city, the front line is constantly shifting. The rebels make advances, but often must retreat under government aerial bombardments against which they have no strong defense.
Scott, this video in your piece, it's some very harrowing video. You're right there on the scene in the middle of these battles.
There are snipers on this street. The rebels rig a mirror to see around the corner. The fighters are retrieving the bodies of a family that was killed when a mortar hit their kitchen gas canister. 3 children and their aunt died. The mother was wounded. The father died of a heart attack when he saw them.
Aleppo is, like many of the other places, is a tale of 2 cities, if you will, to use a worn cliche. There's an area that is still under the government control and that has never fallen to the rebels and has never been a battle zone, and that is fairly intact, and life goes on as normal as could be expected. Then there's the area where there's been fighting, and that can range from some craters and a few damaged buildings to utter devastation.
You said some people are having a difficult time coping with these daily battles and even seeking to get out of the city. What is it like? How has this conflict changed daily life for people?
Dar al-Shifa Hospital in Aleppo. Staff treats soldiers of the rebel Free Syria Army wounded in various battles. They are also treating civilians. This boy was hit by a bullet. It went through his shoulder and lodged in his chest. This family arrives in panic and in grief. A mortar shell hit their home. 2 babies are among the wounded. A teenager arrives with a shattered leg. He will survive, but as an amputee.
Often where there have been bombardments, or what some call the front line, these neighborhoods will be almost empty, if not completely empty, because people just can't stand the bombardments and the firing, and they flee. And then there are the people who have chosen to stay in or near these zones of conflicts for different reasons. I talked to one young man in Aleppo who said he couldn't leave because his cousin had been wounded and he couldn't leave him. Another man said he didn't want to leave his house. He was afraid it would be looted. Others had different either family reasons or they were just resigned. One young fellow was just very fatalistic. He says, if I live, I live. If I die, I die.
These images that we are seeing of civilians who are caught in the conflict, it is, as you said, it's devastating to see, especially children. So, and there have been reports that government forces are actually targeting civilians. Why would that be? Why kill children? Why kill women? Why kill innocent people?
There have been reports of massacres and of government troops going into neighborhoods that had been held by rebels and massacring civilians because they believed they were sympathizing or abetting the rebels. There have been those reports. I think a lot of the casualties have come from the bombardments. This is almost indiscriminate, and the Syrian government has had to withdraw forces from smaller towns in certain areas in order to deal with rebel offensives in major urban areas like Aleppo, Damascus, Homs, Hama, and so forth. And as a result, the rebels have taken over, and yet so the government says we'll send a plane to bomb or a helicopter gunship as a way of just showing that you don't completely control this. It's a way of not only asserting its dominance or trying to, but also of terrorizing the population so that they will leave and no longer harbor these rebels. So that's where the one-sidedness of the conflict has been most evident. From the rebel side, there have been atrocities, there have been executions, primarily of government soldiers or these militias that are especially brutal when they take over. So there probably will be war crimes investigations when this is all over. Hopefully it won't be too long, and there probably will be accusations on both sides.
And again, our thanks to VOA Middle East correspondent Scott Bobb, who spoke to us from Jerusalem.